The secret I wish to impart to you this evening is this. Only 1 minute of properly directed consciousness is required to set in motion the forces that can manifest even the seemingly impossible in your world. 1 minute of perfect imaginative control can birth miracles that defy all logical explanation. Many of you have traveled great distances to be here tonight, seeking answers, seeking transformation. You have tried countless methods, followed numerous teachers, and yet the fulfillment of your desires remains elusive. I say to you now, cease your searching in the external world. The kingdom you seek is within you, and it requires but a moment of proper attention to unlock its boundless treasures. When I speak of 1 minute, I am not speaking in terms of compromise or limitation. Rather, I am revealing to you the tremendous power that resides in a perfectly concentrated moment of consciousness. For time, as you understand it in your waking state, is merely an illusion, a creation of your own wonderful human imagination. In the realm of true creation, in the realm of imagination, there is no time. There is only the eternal now pregnant with infinite possibilities. And it is in this eternal now that all your desires already exist as accomplished facts. Your task is not to create what you desire, but to claim it as already yours through the controlled direction of your imagination. Consider this fundamental truth. Your consciousness, your awareness of being is God. The Bible declares, I am that I am. This is not speaking of a deity removed from you, dwelling in some distant heaven. This I am is your fundamental awareness of existence, your consciousness, and it is the one and only creative power in the universe. When you say I am, you are declaring the name of God. And whatever you attach to this divine declaration becomes the condition, the state you experience. If you say I am sick, I am poor, I am unwanted, you are using the creative power of the universe to manifest these very states. But equally, when you declare I am wealthy, I am loved, I am successful, even when all appearances contradict these statements, you are engaging the same divine power to bring these conditions into your experience. The 1 minute I speak of is a minute of complete immersion in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is a minute in which you close the doors of your senses to the present limitations that surround you and enter fully into the imaginal scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. In that minute, properly employed, you can rewrite the script of your life. Let me share with you an experience of one of my students that illustrates this principle perfectly. This gentleman had been unemployed for nearly 2 years. His savings were depleted, his confidence shattered, and his family was on the verge of destitution. Every job interview ended in rejection. The external facts of his life painted a picture of hopelessness. I instructed him to take 1 minute, just 1 minute, before falling asleep each night, to feel as though he were already employed in a position that gave him satisfaction and financial abundance. I told him not to visualize the process of getting the job, but rather to feel the naturalness of already having it. He was to imagine a scene that implied the fulfillment of this desire. Perhaps a friend congratulating him on his new position, or the feeling of depositing his ample paycheck, or the satisfaction of contributing meaningfully to his workplace. The scene itself was not important. What mattered was the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the conviction that what he desired was already his. For several nights he practiced this exercise faithfully. On the 5th day, he received a phone call from a company he had never applied to. A mutual acquaintance had recommended him for a position that perfectly matched his skills and paid considerably more than he had ever earned before. Within a week, he was employed. What 2 years of external effort could not accomplish, 5 minutes of properly directed imagination achieved effortlessly. Was this a coincidence? Was it luck? I tell you, it was neither. It was the law of your own being made manifest. For when you enter into an imaginal scene and make it real through the power of feeling, you have activated forces beyond your conscious understanding. Forces that reality to conform to your dominant impression. The scriptures tell us faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This faith is not mere wishful thinking or intellectual acceptance of a doctrine. Faith is the feeling of possession, the assurance that what is not yet visible to your mortal eye already exists in the reality of your imagination. And your imagination, being God in action within you, cannot fail to objectify that which you have faithfully embodied in feeling. Some of you may be thinking, but Neville, 1 minute seems too short a time to change the conditions of my life that have persisted for years. To this I would say you underestimate the power of your own consciousness. It is not the duration of time spent in your imaginal act that determines its efficacy, but the intensity of feeling, the completeness of your immersion in the state desire. A single match, properly struck, can set an entire forest ablaze. Similarly, a single moment of perfectly focused imagination, suffused with the feeling tone of reality, can set in motion the forces that will inevitably result in the manifestation of your desire, regardless of how impossible it may seem to your rational mind. The great secret that the mystics and sages have always known is that creation is finished. All that you could ever desire to be, do, or have already exists in what I call the infinite states of consciousness. Your journey is not one of creating anew, but of selecting and embodying the state that corresponds to your desire. And this selection is done through the faculty of attention controlled by your imagination. When I instruct you to take 1 minute to feel yourself into the state of your wish fulfilled, I am giving you the key to unlocking the treasure house of infinity. For in that 1 minute, if properly employed, you transcend time itself. You step out of the limitations of your current state and enter a new state of consciousness, and your outer world must reshape itself to mirror this inner change. There was a woman in one of my lectures some years ago who had been diagnosed with an incurable heart condition. The physicians had given her perhaps 6 months to live. After hearing me speak on this principle, she decided to take 1 minute each day to feel the joy and gratitude of being perfectly healthy. She imagined hearing her doctor say, "I cannot understand it. Your heart shows no sign of disease whatsoever." She felt the relief, the boundless gratitude, the sheer joy of this pronouncement. 3 months later, upon her regular examination, her doctor was baffled. The tests showed no trace of the previous condition. Further examinations confirmed that her heart was functioning perfectly. The medical community called it a spontaneous remission, an unexplainable healing. But she and I knew better. It was the perfect working of law. She had selected a different state of consciousness, and her body conformed to that selection. You see, the outer world is nothing more than the projection of your inner assumptions. Change the assumption, and you change the projection. It cannot be otherwise, for consciousness is the only reality, and your assumptions determine which state of consciousness you occupy. The 1 minute practice I am giving you this evening is so simple that many will dismiss it as too elementary to produce significant results. Yet its very simplicity is what makes it so powerful. You need no special equipment, no esoteric knowledge, no years of disciplined practice. You need only your imagination and the willingness to feel the naturalness of your desire fulfilled. Here is how you employ this 1 minute practice. First, clarify what you truly desire. Not the means to the fulfillment, but the end itself. If you desire wealth, what does wealth mean to you? Is it a specific sum in your bank account? Is it the freedom to travel? Is it the ability to help others financially? Clarify the essence of your desire. Next, create a scene that would imply the fulfillment of this desire. If your desire is for perfect health, perhaps imagine a friend commenting on how vibrant and energetic you appear. If your desire is for a harmonious relationship, perhaps imagine yourself and your beloved sharing a moment of perfect understanding and joy. The scene should be brief, easily visualized, and imply that your desire is already fulfilled. Then set aside 1 minute, preferably just before sleep, when your mind is naturally relaxed and receptive, and completely immerse yourself in this scene. Do not merely visualize it as if watching a movie. Enter into it fully. Be a participant, not a spectator. Feel the solidity of objects you would touch in this scene. Hear the sounds that would be present. Most importantly, feel the emotions that would be yours if this imaginal act were your present reality. For that 1 minute, let nothing disturb your concentration. If your attention wanders, gently bring it back to your scene. Infuse the scene with the absolute conviction that this is now reality. Feel the naturalness, the of-courseness of your desire fulfilled. Then release the scene completely. Do not spend the rest of your day wondering when or how your desire will manifest. Remember, in the reality of imagination, which is the only reality, your desire is already fulfilled. The outer manifestation is merely the shadow, the echo of what you have already accepted as real in consciousness. Let me tell you of another student who applied this principle to what seemed an impossible situation. This gentleman was in his late 50s and had been passed over for promotion repeatedly in favor of younger colleagues. He had specialized knowledge that was valuable to his company, but management saw him as too close to retirement to invest in his advancement. After learning this principle, he took 1 minute each night to feel the satisfaction of being called into his supervisor's office and being informed of his promotion to regional director, a position 2 levels above his current role. He felt the handshake, heard the congratulatory words, felt the surge of validation that would accompany such an event. Within 3 weeks, a corporate restructuring was announced. The regional offices were being reorganized, and to everyone's surprise, including his own, he was appointed regional director. When he spoke with the executive who had selected him for the role, he was told, "We need someone with your specific experience and knowledge base to guide this transition." The decision became obvious once we reviewed the requirements. What appeared impossible, a double promotion for a man considered too senior for advancement, manifested effortlessly once he had planted the seed in consciousness through his 1 minute imaginal act. The Bible tells us the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants. Your 1 minute imaginal act is this mustard seed, seemingly insignificant in its brevity, yet containing within it the full power of creation, which when planted in the fertile soil of your consciousness, must grow into the full manifestation of your desire. Many of you have been taught that worthwhile achievements require struggle, that you must earn your good through labor and sacrifice. This is the thinking of the world, and it has kept humanity in bondage for centuries. I am offering you freedom from this bondage through the recognition that consciousness, not action, is the foundational creative power. Right action will follow naturally from right consciousness. When you have truly assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will be automatically guided to take whatever steps are necessary for its manifestation in the outer world. But these actions will not be the strained efforts of someone trying to make something happen. They will be the natural, almost effortless expressions of your state of being. Some of you may be wondering about timing, how long, you ask, between my imaginal act and its fulfillment in the outer world. This is a question that cannot be answered with precision, for it depends on many factors: the naturalness of the state to your particular consciousness, the degree to which your desire conforms to what I call the law of assumption, and the time required for the reshaping of external circumstances. But know this, the manifestation will occur at precisely the right moment, in what Scripture calls the fullness of time. Your task is not to be concerned with when, but to remain faithful to the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. For the very concern about timing betrays a lack of faith in the reality of your imaginal act. I have had experiences where manifestation occurred within hours of my imaginal act, and others where months passed before the seed I had planted flowered into outer reality. But in every case, the manifestation came not because I made it happen through anxious monitoring, but because the law of consciousness is infallible. What you assume to be true with feeling must objectify itself in your world. You might ask, can this principle be applied to seemingly impossible situations, to the healing of supposedly incurable diseases, to the transformation of seemingly fixed circumstances, to the manifestation of desires that reason says cannot be fulfilled? And I answer you with an emphatic yes. For what appears impossible to your rational mind is merely a limitation imposed by your current beliefs about what is possible. When you shift your consciousness Through the power of your controlled imagination, you transcend these limitations. You align yourself with the creative power that fashioned the universe. And to this power, which is your own wonderful human imagination, nothing is impossible. I know a man who was told by multiple medical specialists that he would never walk unassisted again after a devastating accident. Following the principle I am sharing with you tonight, he spent 1 minute each day feeling the naturalness, the joy of walking freely, feeling the ground beneath his feet, experiencing the ease of movement that had been his before the accident. Against all medical prognosis, within 6 months he was walking without assistance. His physicians were baffled, attributing his recovery to some anomaly in their initial diagnosis. But he knew the truth. He had selected a different state of consciousness, and his body had reshaped itself to conform to this new selection. This principle applies not only to individual transformation, but to the reshaping of relationships as well. If you are experiencing discord with another person, do not try to change them through external effort or persuasion. Instead, take your 1 minute to imagine an interaction with this person that embodies the harmony you desire. Feel the naturalness of understanding between you, the ease of communication, the mutual respect and appreciation. Do this faithfully, and you will be amazed at the transformation that occurs. Not because you have manipulated the other person, but because you have transformed your own consciousness regarding the relationship. And since all relationships exist in consciousness, the outer expression of the relationship must conform to your inner assumption. A woman once came to me in great distress over her marriage. For years, her husband had been emotionally distant, critical, and unaffectionate. They had tried counseling without success, and she was contemplating divorce as her only option for happiness. I instructed her to take 1 minute before sleep each night to feel the joy and gratitude of being in a loving, harmonious marriage with this same man. I told her not to imagine a different man or a different marriage, but this same relationship transformed by her shift in consciousness. She imagined her husband looking at her with love and appreciation, speaking words of affection, sharing moments of genuine connection. She felt the relief, the happiness, the fulfillment of being in such a relationship. Within 3 weeks, subtle changes began to appear in her husband's behavior. He became more attentive, less critical. She began initiating conversations rather than retreating into silence. Within 2 months, their marriage had transformed to such a degree that she could hardly believe this was the same relationship that had caused her such anguish. Did her 1 minute practice somehow control or manipulate her husband against his will? Not at all. What it did was shift her consciousness regarding the relationship. And since consciousness is the only reality, the outer picture, including her husband's behavior, had to adjust to reflect this inner change. This principle of the 1 minute imaginal act applies with equal power to conditions that appear to involve multiple individuals or complex social structures. If you desire a particular position in your company, do not concern yourself with the politics of advancement or the competition from others. Take your 1 minute to feel the satisfaction, the sense of accomplishment, the naturalness of already occupying that position. If you seek financial abundance in a challenging economic environment, do not focus on the statistics of scarcity or the limitations of your current income. Use your 1 minute to feel the security, the freedom, the joy of having abundant resources, regardless of what your bank statement currently shows. The outer circumstances, no matter how apparently fixed or immutable, are but shadows, reflections of past assumptions. Change the assumption in your 1 minute practice, and the reflection must change in accordance with this new assumption. This is not wishful thinking. It is the operation of immutable law. Many spiritual traditions teach that creation is complete, that all possible states and conditions already exist in what might be called a fourth dimensional reality. Your task is not to create what you desire, but to select, through the power of your focused imagination, the particular state that corresponds to your desire, and to enter that state through the feeling of its reality. This is what Scripture means by before you call, I will answer. Your desire, in its fulfilled state, already exists as a present fact in consciousness. Your imaginal act is not creating it anew, but claiming what already exists in the realm of infinite possibility. The story of the fig tree in the gospel provides a perfect illustration of this principle. Jesus, seeing a fig tree without fruit, spoke to it, saying, "No man eat fruit of thee hereafter forever." The disciples noted that the tree appeared unchanged at that moment. But the following day, as they passed by, they saw that the fig tree had withered from the roots. This is how your 1-minute imaginal act operates. In the moment of your focused imagination, you may see no outer change in your circumstances. But the seed has been planted, the root has been established in consciousness, and the outer manifestation must follow, as surely as the withering of the fig tree followed Jesus' word. Some of you may be thinking, but I have tried visualization before without results. To this I would say, there is a world of difference between mere visualization as a mental exercise and the complete immersion in the feeling of the wish fulfilled that I am describing to you tonight. Visualization without feeling is sterile and powerless. It is the feeling that gives life to your imaginal act, the feeling of naturalness, of alreadiness, of complete acceptance that what you are imagining is now reality. In that feeling lies the transformative power that reshapes your outer world. Moreover, many who practice visualization continue to grant reality to their current limitations. They see their visualization as something that may happen in the future if they are persistent enough or lucky enough. This divided consciousness, one part affirming the desired state, another part affirming the reality of its absence, neutralizes the creative power of their imaginal act. When I instruct you to take 1 minute to feel the wish fulfilled, I am asking you to temporarily but completely set aside your awareness of its absence in your outer world. For that 1 minute, you must grant your imaginal act the same degree of reality, the same sense of solidity and naturalness that you normally grant to your physical surroundings. This requires practice, for we have been conditioned since childhood to trust the evidence of our senses above all else. But with persistence, you will develop the ability to immerse yourself so completely in your imaginal scene that for the duration of your practice, it is more real to you than the physical world around you. And when you achieve this state, even for 1 minute, you have planted a seed that cannot fail to flower into manifestation. For consciousness is the only reality, and what you have made real in consciousness must by law become real in your outer experience. Let me share with you one more illustration of this principle in action. A dear friend of mine had a lifelong dream of owning a particular type of home in a specific neighborhood, a neighborhood where properties rarely came on the market, and they did, commanded prices far beyond her financial reach. By all rational assessment, her desire was impossible to fulfill. I instructed her to take 1 minute each day to feel the joy of already living in this home. Not to visualize how she might acquire it or to worry about the financing, but simply to feel the satisfaction of ownership, to feel herself moving through the rooms, enjoying the garden, welcoming friends to this beloved space. For several weeks she practiced faithfully, and then, as often happens, when the seed has been properly planted, she largely forgot about her formal practice, as the feeling of ownership became natural to her consciousness. 6 months later, she was contacted by an elderly woman who owned precisely the type of home my friend had been imagining in exactly the neighborhood she desired. The woman, who was moving to another state to be near her children, had specific ideas about who should live in her home. She wanted someone who would love it as she had, who would maintain its character and beauty. Through a series of circumstances that appeared coincidental but were in fact the natural outworking of consciousness, this woman offered my friend the opportunity to purchase the home at significantly below market value, with financing terms that made it accessible despite my friend's limited resources. Was this luck? Was it chance? I tell you, it was the perfect operation of law. My friend had planted the seed in consciousness through her 1 minute practice. She had selected a different state, the state of being the owner of this type of home, and her outer reality reshaped itself to conform to this inner selection. The circumstances that brought about this manifestation appeared natural, even coincidental. this is always the case. The bridge of incidents leads from your current state to the fulfillment of your desire will appear perfectly natural when viewed from the outside. It is only when you understand the law of consciousness that you recognize these coincidences as the orderly fulfillment of what you have established in imagination. As we draw towards the conclusion of our time together, I want to emphasize that this principle I have shared with you, the principle of the 1-minute imaginal act, is not for special occasions or dramatic transformations. It is meant to be the normal, natural way you approach every aspect of your life. Just as you would not attempt to drive from New York to Los Angeles without first establishing Los Angeles as your destination, so you should not move through life without first establishing in consciousness the states you wish to occupy. Your 1-minute practice is simply the means by which you establish these states, planting the seeds that must grow into manifestation. Some will say that this approach to life is impractical, that it ignores the hard realities of existence. To them I say, what you call hard realities are merely the hardened impressions of past thoughts and assumptions. They appear solid and immutable only because you continue to grant them reality through your attention and belief. When you shift your attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, even for 1 minute of complete immersion, you have begun the process of dissolving these hardened impressions and replacing them with the impression of your new assumption. And since impression is followed by expression, as surely as summer follows spring, your outer world must reshape itself to express this new impression. Do not be discouraged if the full manifestation of your desire does not appear immediately following your 1-minute practice. Remember the fig tree, which did not wither in the moment of Jesus' word, but had changed from the roots, a change that became visible the following day. Your imaginal act may likewise be working from the roots, reshaping circumstances that are not yet visible to your physical senses. The interval between your imaginal act and its fulfillment in the outer world is a period for faith, not the faith that hopes or wishes, but the faith that knows with certainty that what has been established in consciousness must objectify itself in experience. This faith is not belief in something that may or may not happen. It is the deep knowing that creation is finished, that what you have felt as real in consciousness is already a fact in the only reality that matters. As you leave this gathering tonight, I urge you to put this principle into immediate practice. Select a desire, something you truly want to be, to do, or to have. Create a brief scene that would imply the fulfillment of this desire. Then tonight before you sleep, take just 1 minute to enter fully into this scene, to feel its reality with all the power of your emotional being. Do not approach this as a test of the principle, for doubt and testing imply the possibility of failure. Instead, approach it with the innocent wonder of a child who knows that what is imagined with complete faith is already in the process of becoming reality. 1 minute properly employed in the feeling of the wish fulfilled contains within it the power to transform your life in ways that may now seem miraculous or impossible. For in that 1 minute, you are engaging the creative power of the universe, your own wonderful human imagination, and directing it consciously towards the fulfillment of your desire. And when you truly understand and apply this principle, you will know the truth of the scripture. All things are possible to him that believeth. For belief, in its deepest sense, is not intellectual acceptance, but emotional surrender to the reality of that which is not yet seen with the physical eye. Take your 1 minute tonight and plant the seed of a new reality in the fertile soil of your consciousness. Nurture it with the waters of faith, not the faith that hopes, but the faith that knows. And watch as the universe rearranges itself to accommodate your new concept of self, your new assumption of what is possible. For even the impossible will manifest for you when you have properly directed the creative power of your consciousness, even if that direction occupies but a single minute of perfect imaginative control. In that minute lies the key to freedom, to fulfillment, to the conscious creation of a life that reflects your highest desires. The choice is yours. The power is yours. The 1 minute is yours. Use it wisely, use it with complete faith in the creative power of your own wonderful human imagination. And prepare yourself for miracles, not as rare and unusual events, but as the natural expression of properly directed consciousness. For this is the promise in the law, as within, so without, as above, so below. What you establish in consciousness through your 1-minute imaginal act must manifest in your world. It cannot fail, for consciousness is the only reality, and its expression in the outer world is governed by immutable law. Go now in the knowledge of your own creative power. Take your 1 minute, and with it, reshape your world. For even the impossible will manifest for you when you understand and apply this simple yet profound truth. Imagination creates reality, and a single minute of properly directed imagination contains within it the power to transform your life beyond all current limitation. Remember always that you are not a helpless victim of circumstances, but the creative center of your own existence. In your consciousness, in your I am, lies the power that fashioned the universe. Use this power consciously, use it lovingly, use it faithfully, and watch as even the impossible becomes your living experience. For when you know that you are the operant power in your universe, that your consciousness is God in action, you will never again be content to live at the mercy of circumstances or to accept limitations that can be transcended through the proper direction of your wonderful human imagination. Take your 1 minute tonight, feel the wish fulfilled, and step boldly into the unlimited potential that is your divine inheritance as a conscious creator in this magnificent universe.